Today is International Workers' Day, and protests took place in over 600 cities in all 50 states. KTIV's Gabriela Quinones was at one of those protests here in Sioux City. She joins us tonight in the studio. Gabriela?
Yeah, well, Matt, Siouxland's Good Troublemakers is a new community group with a self-prescribed mission of protecting the Constitution and reclaiming democracy. They hosted a May Day rally at the Sioux City Public Museum to advocate for human rights. The group organized a rally to allow speakers and members of the community to voice their frustrations with the government. Despite the rain, there were nearly 150 people in attendance. People of all ages held signs and spoke on why they were protesting, with topics ranging from DEI, tariffs, due process, and Medicare and Medicaid.
We definitely want to see our local community thriving. Tax breaks for billionaires do not work. We want to see good paying union jobs being created.
Some say they're fighting for equality.
I want to see equal human rights for everybody. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter what race, ethnicity, what gender, sexuality. I want to see equal human rights for everybody.
Others say they're fighting for people to have the right to choose what happens.
And we deserve to live with the freedom to choose and to just be human beings with rights.
Some spoke up against the deportation of immigrants who have not been convicted of any crimes.
I think we have to give everyone due process. The court of law determines whether someone's guilty of a crime. We need to use that. That's what the Constitution says. That's what we believe.
Drivers drove by the rally honking and cheering.
It makes me happy and it makes me proud. It shows that there are other people here in the area that also want to see a change in the country.
Rivers has a message to people who may not agree with the rally.
I think that there is more common ground than most people think, and it's just a way of finding those common grounds and moving together.
In Sioux City, Gabriela Quinones, KTIV News 4. Siouxland's Good Troublemakers encourage people to bring canned food and non-perishable items to donate to the food bank of Siouxland tonight.
Gabriela, thanks so much.